Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 meeting of the Norfolk County Commission to order. I'm going to read the executive order on remote participation now. On March 28, 2025, Governor Healy signed into law House Bill 62, an act relative to extending certain provisions of the COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25. That action was effective immediately, extending the current option for remote meetings through June 30th, 2027. Thank you. Join me in saluting the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We take the roll. Commissioner Stady.
I am present, sir.
Commissioner Collins.
Present.
And Chairman Shea is here. I'm going to look for
Want to make a motion,
a
Joe?
motion to go into executive session.
Okay. So there are two
Thank
parts.
you.
There are two parts of this motion. They're all one motion. All
We're only, I believe, attending to the first items this week.
right. Okay.
Option one.
So I don't bother with option two. Okay. So I'd like a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Purpose 1, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Subsection A, Subsection 1, to consider an open meeting law complaint against public officers, namely the members of the Norfolk County Commissioners, filed with the Commissioners by Marguerite Lee, First Assistant Registrar, on behalf of Norfolk County the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds on May 7th, 2025. That's a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second the motion as presented by Commissioner Collins. Those are all.
On the motion, Commissioner Stady,
Yes, I vote yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
The chairman votes yes. We're going to go into executive session. We will be returning for the remainder of our business meeting today. Thank you.
See you guys.
Okay, we're back on the record on our May 21st, 2025 meeting of the Norfolk County Commission. Number 4, minutes of the executive session of May 14th. Commissioner Stady.
I have reviewed the minutes. They appear to be properly prepared. I would move approval. And the minutes not to be released until such time as the matter is deemed by the chair not to be involved in any kind of litigation or concern.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Number 5, appointments. I have none. Number 6, public comment. Each week we have a session in our meeting for public comment on Zoom or in person. Now is the time. If there's anyone out in Zoom land that would like to comment on any subject, now is the time to speak. John, did you have any?
Yeah, just
please?
for the commissioner's advice, I shared with each of you a copy of an email that came in through our general mailbox. It's from a concerned citizen in Walpole relative to the proposed solar project. So it's for your information only. He offers some insight that I shared with you.
I just saw it about 5 minutes ago, and I asked Bill to prepare a comment.
Mr. Chairman, on that matter, if I may, I know we just all got it. Is the proper way to respond in this forum, or should we review with, what's the guidelines on that?
If the commission
We should
feels as though
file
there's
anything.
content that needs to be responded to,
Yeah,
the chair can let me know and we can pull it up on a future agenda.
okay.
I've let the sender know that the matter has been received and distributed to the commissioners.
Okay.
So
I'll say no more then. I just got it, but
Okay.
it's well written. It's worth taking a look.
Yeah, we will respond.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, last call for public comment. Seeing none, old business, I have none. Number 8, personnel matters for consideration.
Mr. Chair, if you wish, I'll move the following.
Mhm.
At the Walton Recreational Facility. I believe the first 3 I'm going to read, Mr. Chairman, are the notice of contingent employment. The following motion is made for these individuals: for Gavin Hoffman, for Laura Misselli, and Andrew Balestra, all for seasonal golf associate at the Walton Recreational Facility at the rate stated, and all for the effective date of 5/22/25. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the motion and notice of rehire for Edmund Terabasi as seasonal golf associate. Rate stated, effective date 5/22/25. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye. And final one, Mr. Chairman, I'll move the notice of resignation of Paul Blaney as seasonal golf associate at the rate stated, effective date 5/14/25. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Thank you. Number 9, payroll and expense warrants for approval. Rick, Commissioner stated.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. For the warrant list of 5/21/25, I'll move the following. Only have two items. 25-46, payroll of the county. I'll move the sum $148,443.11. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
And
Next.
for expense of the county, line 050325, the sum $100,237.55. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
It
That
is a
concludes
vote.
the warrant, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You're
Number
welcome.
11, discussion and possible vote on electric vehicle proposal from Port Energy. Last week, we received a proposal for your review. I'm going to ask our guest to come up, sit in the hot chair there, and we're going to discuss it.
We should support Cap.
Mr. Chairman, may I summarize?
Can't believe
May I
it's
summarize?
They'll leave it there.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
May I summarize?
Summarize.
All right, I'll let
Yes.
John summarize, and then, okay.
Grateful,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioners, good
I
afternoon.
missed the first one, that's why. Okay.
Several weeks ago, you received a vendor, Port Energy, to have a conversation about proposed installation of electric vehicle charging stations at each Norfolk County property to include Brookline, Dedham District Court, Stoughton District Court, Rentham District Court, Superior Court area, the Registry of Deeds, the Agricultural High School, and the Wallison Recreational Facility Golf Course. Port Energy has spent the last several weeks going to each location. They were met with our electrician, Charles Cushing. Last week, 2 weeks ago, rather, the Port Energy folks delivered proposals for each of these sites. I summarized the proposal. It includes installations of electric vehicle charging stations at each location. In the aggregate for each of the 8 locations, that would be 31 charging stations. We've had between myself, Nick, and Ed several exchanges of questions and answers. The proposal includes some brief terms of agreement on how the grant and program would run. That information is shared with you in your packet. So this afternoon, as we have received this information, I think it's incumbent upon the commissioners to have a review and define the scope of what they want to embrace and move forward on with Port Energy. Port Energy has asked for additional information from us, which we will provide once the scope is defined. That includes additional electric bills, which I have right here for each location, as well as a copy of the application, which I have to complete, and I think it's a W-9.
W-9 and also a tax exempt form.
Got that. So everything's all set. We just need the commissioners today to define the scope, the locations, and the numbers of ports or charges that they wish to embrace against these proposals. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Why don't you make another brief statement and then we'll go from there. I forget.
So my name's Nick Valori. I'm the owner of East Coast Renewable Energy. Just for clarity, Port Energy is a subsidiary of one of my employees, Ed McClellan. East Coast Renewable is the primary business owner of the charging stations. The installation company is another one of my companies. It's called EVSE Solutions. EVSE will be the company that is going to be doing the installation. So everything is in-house. Okay. Couple of things before I get into continue. I just want to say thank you very much for allowing East Coast Renewable, Port Energy, and EVSE to present this opportunity to the Norfolk County. With that being stated, our opportunity here is going to be 100% a donation to Norfolk County. I want to be very clear. The majority of the funds are covered by the Mass EVIP. Whatever donation may come up out of this would be above and beyond what the Mass EVIP is covering. The program, for lack of a better term, gives you 2 dual port charging stations per street address. The way I look at these charging stations is it's a nice amenity for all your locations, a potential revenue source, and a great way to show the state of Massachusetts that Norfolk County is progressive. With all that being stated, I want everybody to understand that these are level 2 charging stations. These charging stations they're not a supercharger. It is going to take a couple hours to charge the vehicles. So all the locations we are talking about, it is ideal for. The level 3 chargers are, for lack of a better term, ideal for coffee shops, gas stations, some places that you're there for 10, 15, 20 minutes. So these charging stations will be owned and operated by Norfolk County. You will receive 100% of the profit that comes in. There are no monthly or yearly fees. How we get around those monthly, yearly fees from the charging stations is that I set everything up as a performance-based, meaning if nobody decides to charge at the charging station the month of July because the courts are closed or what have you, there's no fee for it. Whereas if we set you up on a normal charge, there's a yearly fee, and it does get expensive, especially if people aren't using the charging stations. So what we're offering is a legitimate no-cost opportunity. The cost of electricity should be offset by what you set the charge rate for. So for example, if the electric rate is 20 cents a kilowatt hour, if you set the rate at 25 cents a kilowatt hour, you have a profit on that. Does all that make sense to everybody?
So what?
How do we know,
So
like,
far.
what's the rate? I'm sorry. How do we know what rate we're supposed to
So the rate is,
go with there?
so great question. The rate is whatever you want to set. I normally would tell you to set it below what the residential rates are at.
Mhm.
So where I live in Milford, the residential rates are somewhere between 33 and 35 cents a kilowatt hour.
Mhm.
So I would set it at 30 cents or below. Because you want to encourage people to charge, but at the same point in time, you don't want to gouge people.
So, okay, I'm probably getting nuts and bolts, right? But we probably would check with our electrical person
Yep.
or you.
I can do it all.
Oh, you can do that for us.
So
and
one
say,
of the
recommend
reasons,
to us,
Yep.
set this rate or something like that.
one of the reasons why we require the electrical bills is to advise you what your all-in electric rate is,
Okay, I see.
which is your delivery rate plus your supply rate,
Okay,
plus whatever miscellaneous fees are part of that electrical bill.
Okay.
And then if you say, what would you charge? I would give you my opinion. You guys can go from there. The other reason for the electrical bills is that we want to be able to submit what I call a perfect package to the utility. So there's no kickbacks on the submission and potentially loss of the incentive money.
okay. If I could, one more question, Mr. Chairman, for you,
Sure.
to our guest here. So I read all the materials that was provided from us, from our director. It was good. I saw it all. My understanding then is it's only, like, we get a dual, which means 2 cars. That's it, right?
Correct.
So like say, I think Brookline,
Yes.
you'd put probably 1 there, and then 2 cars would charge.
Correct.
Is that, okay, and then like Stoughton, the most you could do is 2, right?
The most we
Which
can
would be 4
do,
cars.
correct. The most we can do is 2,
Okay,
but if the county commission wants to put more in, it would come out of your budget.
right, but you suggested 2 there.
Correct.
I'll go through the
Because-
numbers here.
Yes.
So I looked at the numbers, I read it, it looked okay.
Mhm.
The only question I had was, in looking at the photos, and I could be wrong, the location for the, I think it was it said registry lot. It looked like they were proposing to put it in the tiny lot that sometimes we use ourselves. And I was wondering if that could be my goal, I thought, was gonna be in the bigger lot, you know what I'm saying, over there.
So
So, did you understand what I'm saying
I
there?
understand what you're
You know,
saying.
it looked like,
In most,
those, that's a tight parking lot.
Mhm.
To give up spaces there, where a lot of us, we use it, the state police use it, but there's plenty of parking in the other area. you know?
in most cases, the charging stations can go wherever you guys would like.
Okay,
Okay. If it's too far away from the electrical room,
yeah,
we can drop a new meter,
okay,
so we can really put them wherever you want. If that picture was of that lot,
it looked like it was.
it may have been
Did you catch it?
it may have been because the gentleman who was walking around with our site team had said it was going to go here,
Okay,
but more likely than not, and I'd have to check everything.
Mhm.
There probably was two proposals on that property.
okay,
One for the back. There was okay. One for the back lot and one for the front lot.
okay, okay,
So now, in the event that you said we want them in both areas, in order to qualify for both areas, it just has to be two different street addresses.
right,
Okay.
Yeah.
So the incentive is based upon street address.
yeah. My feeling would be, I'm saying politely,
Mhm.
that with all things considered, I think it'd be better at the other address.
Yeah.
The bigger parking lot there and not not lose spaces here, but because I understood, I saw the service was right there.
Mhm.
I mean, that's probably why he said, oh, do it right here, but also that's a tiny lot.
Yeah.
But
We
the
looked
other,
around.
so the most you're gonna get, like, so Rentham, Stoughton, the golf course, the school is just two.
Yeah.
Two charges.
Nick,
Double.
hey, Nick, can I interject?
Yes, sir.
I
Robert.
just want to make sure that you are understanding that two dual port stations is the standard design. That covers 4 parking spaces.
Right, that's what I
Yeah.
said.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Right, so,
Sometimes when you hear it from the second
Okay.
voice, you know.
okay.
Director Cronin,
Just
question.
to, on this topic, Nick, if you could help, I'll be
Yes, sir.
happy to show this document. So you
Yep.
can get eyes on it. So as Commissioner Stady was indicating, there are two parcels across the street. The main one is the registry of deeds. That's on a corner lot. You have that one. You had a Dedham Courthouse Ames Street lot, which is principally the same building, just a different angle. And then this is the third lot in Dedham. He was referring to, it's called Old River Place. This is
Oh,
the small
okay.
municipal lot you were
Thank you.
referring to.
Okay,
That
okay.
we'd prefer not to lose spaces on. So
Okay,
you had
thank you.
4
Can I-
here, here, and 4 here. So I'll.
Yes, so it's just 4 spots. So just to again go over.
two charges.
It's 2 charging stations that are dual port. So you get 4. It would be 4 parking spots. Yes. Rob, what were you going to say, please?
Sorry, let me interrupt again because you're on a good topic here. Since I'm the one that did the site walk with the gentleman from the county facilities department, he was not 100% sure whether the small lot and the large lot were being considered by the commission. So he
Okay.
just said, why don't we just propose both, and then we can, when we get to this point, the commissioners can decide which, either, neither, or both. So no problem.
Okay,
So
good.
Rob, just to clarify then, if that is the case and we take that one off,
Mm-hmm.
we still have a proposal for 2 separate installations behind the registry in different locations. I think one's over here and then one's over here.
Yeah. So the
That's
question
total,
is,
that'd become a total of 8.
yeah. Well, there's the question: is this a different address? So remember, everything is based upon address. So that
well-
big parking lot might be a different address, only for the fact there's a house right there.
It could be.
Yeah.
Um,
So we could put that in if that's what you elected to.
so that's up to the commissioners. Do you want 8 spaces or 8 chargers at a location where at one point you were thinking 4? So that's the only point.
Okay.
Just to be clear, Commissioner,
Can I
if
see
you
that?
wanted to review, that's
Yeah, thank
the
you.
bird's eye. And just picking off from my memory, if I could recall, I think they were planning charges on this street, which is Ames Street,
Right,
and then charges right at the back of the registry. Same lot, same catchment of vehicles that would use them. So that's a total of 8 charges.
what does that one say? Could I see that?
This is the exact same property. It just sorry,
Different
yeah,
location.
different
Yeah.
location.
One,
So
one gives you this and one gives you
Right,
that.
so if you look at the aerial, I think is the best, right? So this is where you guys park right here, the front lot.
no, we actually
Yeah, we have a
use,
separate lot.
that
Yeah,
lot,
yeah,
A lot.
that's
This
the
is
one
the
I was
registry.
concerned about.
Okay. So
Right, whatever.
over
And
here,
I'm
you
not sure
could,
we don't need one.
Maybe, well, I'm open to anything
I-
you want.
I agree.
I'm fine. Maybe we should put one there. This is the way we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
In my eyes,
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe put
No,
one
it's
there.
full every
'Cause,
day.
there could be, it's full every day. I was just thinking about if we could put more, where it's more space available. But if you're inclined to put one there, that someone might have an electrical vehicle, they might need charging, you know?
and more people are going electric. The state of Massachusetts is really pushing this program.
I don't know
So-
if this is two separate addresses though. You have to
That
check
would be,
that.
yeah, that would be the
You know,
one.
I mean,
one
we
decision.
definitely want to use the bigger lot.
Yeah.
For two. I don't know if we want to put, so what do you think? I'm getting mixed up here. Because there's two charges per thing. So if we have four of them, that's 8 spaces.
Yeah, but so you would have 4 spaces in the back lot,
Yes, sir.
and then you have 4 in the front lot.
Yeah.
So now I parked in the back lot. Now the front lot over here,
That's tighter.
but it's also kind of reserved for the
It is.
police and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're
now, if somebody who's allowed to park here, if they have an electric vehicle, now they have to park back here.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas if they are 2 different lots, you can put them in both. If you wanted to.
That's a
Again,
thought. Maybe
this is
it's just one there. Maybe put one,
Yeah.
because you're right. Those spaces need to be numbered for the justices and the clerk personnel and those things. Like, don't they have all signs reserved for different people? So maybe we just put one there and then the others back there or something. But otherwise, they look fine. I mean, the rest of it look fine. You know, I mean, didn't even overwhelming. I could figure out. We have to make the number today. We can decide today.
you can decide whatever you want. The only thing, and again, I don't want to get into this early, but the only thing we can understand is that there is a bucket of money
Mhm.
in this program. So as people use it,
Yeah.
it fills up.
Right.
What I will tell you is, was it July of 2023?
Yeah.
The level 3 incentive was released. In May of 2024, it was filled. Now, do I think that the level 2 incentive is going to fill up as quick as the level 3 did? I don't think so. But I just want to be able to set proper expectations for everybody.
All right. And if they're damaged, we're covered, right? You
So
covered that.
it's warranted, yeah.
It's warranty. Okay. And we get to keep the profit, whatever that might be.
Yeah, so how it's set up right now is you would receive 100% of the profit minus the performance-based, quote unquote, commission, if you will, that comes out.
Nick, can I interject on the price setting?
Yes, sir.
Typically, what we recommend is there are several applications or apps, as they're referred to, that identify charging locations via wayfinding. So when you have an EV, you can actually see where chargers are available and what the pricing is at each charger location. So what we typically do is we advise folks to set pricing that is consistent with the pricing in that area, so that you're consistent with market pricing. Typically, that, to Nick's point, is going to be a spread of 10 to 15 cents a kilowatt hour of what we would refer to as the profit. But to fine tune that, there is a logical way to pick a price.
Couple questions, if I
Right,
could,
John,
on
I
that
have a
point. Ed, regarding the pricing, would these charging stations ever be subjected to surge or delivery charges by the utility carrier for infrequent use?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the term surge. Are you?
I conflated surge with delivery. So it
Okay.
is my understanding that if a station is not used for a long period of time, then it is suddenly used, the utility will hit that location with a delivery charge. Is that correct?
No, I've not heard of anything like that based on the amount of usage, lack of usage. That's not.
When we're
No.
offline, I'll share the details with you. That happened in my community, so that's
Is,
why
is it
Sure.
possible to have a level 3 charger?
I don't know.
So that may have been, so the utility has the availability of a demand, like waiver, if you would. So when the level 3 chargers pumping out 3-phase power, they could be subject to demand charges. The
That's
level,
probably what it's referring to, would be demand charge. Yes.
so the level 2 chargers do not pump out that much power. So level 3 is 3-phase power. The level 2 is your normal, office power.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask John, for the benefit of the board, Could you just take each one of the ones and just give us like how many charges are being suggested? Just to make
Sure, if
sure
I've
we're okay.
interpreted the proposals correctly,
Right.
could I ask my second question?
Oh, yeah,
first
go
and
ahead.
we'll get to that?
Yeah,
So
sure.
the second question is the proposal itself, and if I want to clarify what Nick said, under the scope of work describes the equipment, the infrastructure, and the cloud networking software. But at the back, where it says the fine print, the proposal says all costs necessary to design and construct the project. I understand, Nick, you mentioned this would be your proposals to move performance-based pricing associated with the software into your cost, so it becomes no charge for us, which I think was shown at $35 per port per month.
Correct.
So would this fine print have to be amended to include what you're talking about, because it only says design and construct?
No, because the design and construct is for the equipment itself.
Yep.
The performance base is based upon all of the, yearly fees. It's going to be part of the performance base, so you're not paying a yearly fee.
Who pays that?
The consumer. So if you're charging.
Okay, I thought earlier you said you were not going to charge the county that the $35 per port piece. Did I misunderstand you?
So if,
I
let me,
did.
let me
Okay.
try to, let me back it up.
Okay.
So this fee of $35. If you go with the performance-based opportunity, there is no monthly cost or annual cost, however it's put together.
Is that offer
It is.
in our proposal?
It's all, I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
But it's all part of the performance base. So the performance base takes 10%.
Got it.
So that 10% covers everything at that
Okay.
point in time, outside of the cost of electricity.
Understood.
So just gonna use numbers, so it's all simple. If you're charging 30 cents a kilowatt hour, you're really getting 27 cents a kilowatt hour.
Mhm.
If your electric rate is 20 cents, your profit would be 7 cents a kilowatt hour.
Because that cost is offsetting the cost of the networking software.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, you can argue the fact that what you're doing is you're charging the consumer an extra 3 cents on the rate. So you really wanted 27 cents,
Mhm.
so you're actually charging them 30 cents.
Mhm.
Very similar to how some of the credit card companies are working now. They call that cash discount.
Mhm.
So if you go to the liquor store or wherever, the restaurant, bill's $100. Your credit card is actually charged $103. Okay, that's the new way they're doing credit cards. So you can look at it that way too. If you say, I want to net out 7 cents a kilowatt hour, then you just have to add back something. And it
So
goes on to the consumer.
So that's performance-based. What's the other option?
That's the monthly fee
The monthly
or the
fee?
quarterly fee.
Right.
yeah.
Okay. And the monthly fee, we pay you a monthly
No,
fee?
you just pay the charging
The vendor.
fee.
Pay it to the vendor. But then we're liable for other things that aren't covered, right?
You get the warranty. Rob, can you talk on that for us?
Sure. Let me elaborate just for a minute on the software license, because I think the analogy that makes a lot of sense for folks to understand is that when you buy a PC at Best Buy and then you purchase Microsoft Office, you get an annual renewal invoice from Microsoft to maintain your Office subscription. That's very similar to what we're doing here. We're installing the laptop computer, but then the contract, if you will, for the software, the cloud software that manages all of the transactions and identifies the fact that the chargers are able to be located by wayfinding and Google Maps and things of that nature. That is the subscription fee that you're either paying on a annual basis at $35 a month per port, or to Nick's point, and what most customers select is the performance based, where 10 cents of the driver fee, 10% of the driver fee goes to that cloud network provider to cover the license fee. So there's no exposure to the county or to the customer that owns and operates the charging stations to have to do anything or to pay any annual fee.
So if there's no activity on the charger,
Mhm.
Rob,
Yeah.
they're
Then-
still paying for it, right?
If there's no activity on the charger, then there's no funds being transacted for any party. So there's no cost.
So it's
to
a
the
transaction
county.
fee. It's not the software cost of basically having data available for that.
Correct.
So back to performance
Roaming.
based.
Yeah.
So if somebody uses the charger, That's where the 10% off. If, like, my analogy was in July, if the courthouse is closed in July and nobody charges, there is no cost.
So it sounds like performance space is better, right?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yes, and I was just going to point out that the proposals we have did not. We can talk offline about having an updated proposal, Commissioner Stady.
Okay,
That's not in this proposal.
Okay.
They detail what the option is.
all right.
in
We'd be
terms of-
happy to, we'd be happy to elaborate on that and modify, just to make it clear. No
Just to
problem.
get back to Commissioner Stady's request to summarize the proposal.
Yeah, thanks.
If I have this correct, Rob, step in. Brookline District Court would be 3 chargers, but I believe those are wall-based, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we had limited, that was the toughest available parking of all of the locations, yes.
Dedham District Court, shown as 4. Old River Places, 4. Registry of Deeds, 4. Stoughton District Court, 4. Rentham District Court, 4. The Agricultural High School, 4. And the golf course, 4. God bless you. One incidental update, I received an email from the school superintendent today. They are enthusiastically interested in the program. They'd have to do some paving, I believe, in order to prep the area, but they intend to use it to help power some buses and
saw
things of that nature.
Right,
So
that was included too.
they are.
So you say 4, you're saying 4 spaces though, which is 2
charges.
charges.
4 charges would be 8 spaces, right?
No, everything's 2 charges. 2 charges, 4 spots.
So it's 2 charges, 4 spaces.
Correct.
Okay, I've got 4 spaces. Brookline, so,
Real tight.
yeah, it 3 charges? I don't understand it. What are you, different kind of charger?
I
He said a
didn't do
wall
a site
charger.
visit, so I apologize. Rob,
Yes.
Brookline, a little bit of a concern here.
Yes, so the standard design, just to, again, I can see where it's confusing. The way that the Mass EVIP program is, their acronyms and the way that they look at chargers is that each cord, if you will, or each plug, they consider a charger. In the industry, and for us folks that are in the construction side of the business, we consider a station as a dual port charger. So when we talk about 2 stations, that's 4 plugs, 4 parking spots. Now, for Brookline, it's a little bit of a unique design. We're going to wall mount 3 single port. I wouldn't call them, they wouldn't be dual port stations. It was just because of the configuration, the way the parking is parallel to the building. And it made the most sense to just cut it down to 3 single chargers rather than trying to go across the parking lot and take up 4 parking spots. So it was that, or there was no way to duplicate the design of having dual port stations in Brookline. So that's why we reduced it down to
Are
3.
those both things still covered under the same warranty as that dual?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, it's the same equipment. It's just that it's just instead of it mounted on a pedestal with it's just a little different. It's the same charger itself. It's the same cord. Everything else is the same. It's just the mounting.
Brookline's a tight fit. I think I'd
Yeah.
couple, not 3.
And in Brookline,
When you
the
say,
cord
Joe,
is-
there's 3, give it up 3
I think
spots?
I think it's real tight. I'll tell
Yeah.
you. In the past,
Thank
we've
you.
had
Okay,
complaints
I see. Oh, I see.
that
Okay, that's what I missed.
that
Okay.
Brookline parking lot fills up at night with cars of policemen. There's no parking in Brookline.
Yeah.
It's not like all these other places that we have. And they, it's really not their parking space, it's ours. But
I mean,
we don't want to get in a
it's
fight
a
with the police.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna lose and and it's not the
it's
busiest.
a less than ideal app. It's the least attractive of all of the locations for sure.
I would think Brookline, I just think there'd be more electrical vehicles.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'd get
Yeah.
plenty of use there, you know what I'm saying? But I think 3's too much, maybe 2.
Sure.
At the end of the day, guys, you guys can make your decision on wherever you want to be.
Yeah,
This is just where, when Rob did the site visit, he felt that was the max we can do. Now, we know 4 or 2 charging stations is the max everywhere.
yeah.
And in the Brookline location, he felt that the max we could do was 3 single port chargers there. So if you only want to do 2, perfect.
Okay, one last question. No, this is just
Think of the
first we're
couple
doing
too.
it.
Go
So
ahead.
the school's enthusiastic, right? And they're gonna use their buses?
Well,
Does
we have John here. our
Yeah, that's what I'm
representative.
asking. Do you think we'd want to do more?
John,
than
you want to go
two?
on this?
No, Joe, I'm asking Joe.
Who?
Do you want to
Oh.
do more than 2, do you think?
No, because it will be a while before we build up to needing more than four. We have a plan to buy one electric vehicle.
Okay,
So it's
Right.
gonna take years and years for us
Okay.
to get a full electric fleet that
Okay.
would require more than four. So I think four would be adequate. I mean, by the time we get four vehicles, who knows what the technology will have changed.
okay.
So I don't think there's
Only asking.
there's a need to
That's all.
create
All
more
right.
than four
Okay.
spots.
And I want to reiterate, the max we can do with the donation is 2 dual port.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
just want to be
Okay,
very clear
okay.
with that.
I
So,
thought I heard you say 3 or something like that.
well,
so
that
I
was 3 single ports.
Okay, sorry about
Okay,
that.
that's all right.
Okay, my bad. All right,
Okay,
so good. All
So
right.
per location, the most you can do is 4 cars.
4 cars, yes.
All right.
With the donation and what's covered and what may not be covered, I'm willing to cover within reason.
All right, so I have a couple questions.
I do too. Go ahead, Commissioner.
All right, so, I did have some concerns because I wanted to make sure that we didn't have to pay for anything. And you've given us 2 proposals, one we might have to pay, one that we don't. I like the one that we don't, that's easy.
That's the way that I think everybody should go.
Right.
But I kind of, well, Rob and I kind of build it out a certain way that people are used to the annual fees. So we put it there and then we say, there's a better option, which is the performance based.
Okay, all right, so I get that.
It's kind of easier to go in what people are used to and then offer the performance based.
Okay, and so what John had alluded to, and what I think we've all seen, because this is the, of the 3 types of charges, this is the middle one, and they keep advancing. And the faster one, the more advanced one, that's all sold out. So this is kind of what we have. I get that. And it charges slower. What if, as John had said, what if this isn't really a feasible thing anymore because charges have gone way beyond this, or cars have gone way beyond this, and they can handle different types of things?
Yeah.
So would you come in and upgrade them? How does that work?
So let's talk about one thing before we get into that. The locations, which I had already kind of alluded to, that we're putting these charging stations, they're ideal for level 2 because people are going to be at these locations for an extended period of time.
And how many hours do you need to charge a car?
It can be any, I mean, it depends where your battery's at, depends how big your battery is.
And how run down it is too.
Yeah, so there's a lot of caveats. So what they consider to be the average charge is your battery's at 50% and you charge it to 80%. The problem with that is we were talking, he has a Bolt, and that battery is a lot smaller than the battery I have on my cars. So timing is all based upon how big the battery is. To go back to your question, is as technology gets better, yes, but in reality, what has to get better is the battery capability. The battery capability is really the biggest thing. I'm sure you've heard about how expensive these batteries are.
Yeah.
So to better the vehicle, and it has to get, the battery technology has to get better. Furthermore, the level 2s only charge hybrids. So you can't put a level 3 and charge a hybrid, at least in today's vehicle standards.
All right, so let's back it up. So if you have an all-electric vehicle, it won't charge?
No, all electric vehicle will charge in a level 2. I have a level 2 at my house,
Okay,
so I charge my vehicles there. A level 3 is 3-phase power, and it can only charge 100% electric vehicles. Can't charge hybrids as of today.
what does 3-phase power mean?
I don't even know. It's like manufacturing power, like strong. Bro, what's a
It's just a stronger power.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I get it, okay.
But we didn't, but again, if say, it could happen. So we say we go forward, okay? Now this is 2025, 2026, 2027, suddenly new technology is coming about. What position are we in? What recourse do we have?
so
We-
by 2028,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
That's when they allow you to take these charging stations out and put new ones in, or whatever you may want to do. If the newest technology is the level 3s, that's now affordable for everybody, there's a lot that gets involved with that. We have to run 3-phase power, transformers, cabinets. It's a completely different animal, completely different. Whereas if we're looking at today's technology,
Mm.
today's technology, 3 years from now, if it never changes, except the power or the incentive. You
Can we
would-
put something in the language? I'm just outside the box here. That would say maybe by agreement of both parties, if something changed within a 3-year period or 4-year period, they would agree to, replace these or, some, I'm saying? Upgrade it.
I think the answer
that
to your
hurt you?
question is, of course, we're willing to change it.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, there's a cost to everything.
I understand. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's,
3, 4 years from now, maybe they'll come out with another generation of this incentive,
mhm.
and it'll be another what they call rip and replace.
Okay.
The rip and replace. So if you had old charging stations here, so I was in a town yesterday. They had a couple old charging stations, and we were able to rip those out and replace them with all brand new ones. So these incentives are continuously coming, okay, as we mature in the renewable energy world. Did I answer your question?
And what if they don't get used? If you come to us and say, hey, these aren't profitable, can we yank them? Is that what happens?
So based upon the current incentive, and Rob, I'm going to need you to chime in on here. I think the charging stations have to be on site for 3 years. Now, if they're not being used and you're in the performance-based opportunity, there's no cost. Excuse me, I misspoke a little bit. There'll be a very little cost because the only cost you're going to incur is the electricity that goes to the charging station. Just like at your house. If you go to Italy for a month and you shut down everything, you're still going to get an electrical bill because there's always electricity going through the current. So if nobody charges at all, you'll have a very, very small electrical bill,
But you guys are gonna cover all that.
not the electrical bill.
Okay, so.
We'll cover the electrical bill if we own
So under the performance space, we still have an electrical bill.
it. So if you're charging 30 cents a kilowatt hour, 10% goes to performance base, you're getting 27 cents. The electrical bill in this example was 20 cents. So if you get 27 cents, 20 cents of it, you'll pay the electrical bill. You keep the profit in this example of 7 cents.
Okay, so just to dumb it down for me.
Yep, go ahead, please.
So there is a way that we get stuck paying for something if we have these charging stations and they're not being used.
Very minute.
Yeah.
Very minute electrical.
Just like if you, can I talk, Joe?
No,
Yes.
I
So
think I
just if you go leave your house and you have a TV set and a toaster plugged in and you don't use them, you're still gonna have an electrical cost.
even if you don't have them plugged in, as long as they run a wire to your house.
Okay,
What's the
so that's
likelihood?
what,
What's the likelihood of that? I mean, we're thinking, these are in the area where you got people in Dedham. I mean, I think the thing, like you said, there's a Wi-Fi notice to people who have cars.
Yeah.
So that gets sent out and they look for a place to charge. They might pull over. Yeah, say, I'll go to the Stoughton lot or go to the Dedham lot.
You go,
No.
you park over here, you go to the movie theater, you go get a coffee. There's places, I hate to use the statement, but kill time. I mean, I know when I charge, I'm always looking for a place that I can get something to eat or walk around. But the likelihood of these things not being used, especially in the courthouses, in golf courses, like, they're always gonna be used.
That unfortunately is one of the weaknesses in our side of this equation. We don't have an accurate inventory or a census of how many electric vehicles are at each location.
Right.
Our staff has done a walkthrough of the registry lot, which is the big one, and they found several. There's also a website that the electrician forwarded to me that shows how many EV vehicles are owned in each community, which is an interesting metrics. But as Nick is saying, it's not so much the residents of a community that'll be using, it's the visitors, the people that travel there from other locations that would be primary customer. And then there's, of course, you alluded to it, Nick, and that is the so-called competition. If you have chargers here, there could be chargers down the road, and you're always kind of thinking, well, where are people charging their cars if they're not here?
Yeah.
Maybe Rob knows, but I was told by Chick that it's either Stoughton or Rentham has a large charging station near one of the courts. Do you know what I'm talking about, Rob?
Yeah, I installed it.
Which is it, Stoughton?
That's Rentham.
It's Rentham.
So Rentham was one of the early adopters of the level 3 through my company. One of my sales reps, Michael McHugh, he presented the level 3 opportunity, which we donated the level 3s to, I think, 2 or 3 He's at 3 or 4 different locations in Rentham. Okay, where the location that is installed at this point in time, but not turned on, waiting on National Grid.
Oh, is that the new
Yes.
parking lot?
The new parking lot.
That
yes,
came
sir.
from ARPA money. That was, Rentham used the ARPA money
Yes.
to build that new parking lot. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's
I
right.
remember
So that
Yeah.
that was we
Come on,
installed
thanks.
those charging stations, and
Ah.
again, donation
Take the money back.
to
Yeah.
Rentham.
Yeah. That's
So that
interesting.
was
Kinda funny.
a really nice
Okay.
thing. But to go back to the point of using a level 3 or a level 2, if you're parked here, you're gonna park in the like. I have an electric vehicle. If there were charging stations, I would have been charging.
Right.
I was at Big Bear at maybe 10:45, and if there were charging stations in that lot, my car would have been charging the whole time.
And someone with an electric vehicle, they can find out where these parking lots are,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
The word will get out.
Yeah.
Are you, son?
I'm done.
I had 3 questions. I think that was answered. Of course, people can use it from the community. I mean, these are our lots, but we work well with all our neighbors, including Brookline, and people do park there. I think during snows, they park there a lot. If you know, depending on, there isn't a lot of shopping down the Seine, but there's a lot of activity,
Mhm.
and there's generally closed, but every now and then we'll get a request. So if there's an apartment house down the street, and I think there's a lot of them, and you live here, you learn it's there, and you live in that park, and you can use it at night, right? Or-
Absolutely, that's a win for you guys,
Right. Okay.
right? That's a win.
Okay, I think that's, to be honest with you, to me, that's the biggest point in addition to, serving our court personnel, but and I we'll show that we're interested in, we're gonna get out and talk to all the cities and towns who we work with all the time.
Yeah.
I think I question our lot versus the registry lot, but we're gonna take another look, John.
Mhm.
Because I think our lot needs one, if not. And that's almost entirely employees, but it's full all the time.
Mhm.
It's right behind this church. And then you go over to 1 block to the registry.
Yeah. So all
Well, they
we
had that in there, Mr. Chairman, but they
Okay.
had 2.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I was the one that said, gee, maybe we shouldn't have any there. But if you think
Okay.
one is needed there, I'm in agreement. I'm fine.
And where do you have chargers installed now in Eastern Mass?
Yeah.
I want to go by and look at it.
Yeah, so the level 2s, none. We've been pushing level 3s. Unfortunately, level 3s have taken an exorbitant amount of time for the National Grid and Eversource to approve because of the capacity issue and the transformer issues for level 3 power. I could give you a list of where they're installed. Rentham's one. We got a hotel in Stoughton. Stoughton Lodgings, you can go over there. That's a big user over there. I'm trying to think where else.
You don't have one at the Quincy Elks, right? The Quincy
Yes,
Elks
Quin-
just put it in.
Quincy Elks, we
Oh,
installed
okay,
those.
okay. That's the only place
Yeah.
I've ever seen it.
Yeah, the Quincy Elk, we installed those too.
Yeah, it's
That's a level 3.
The-
Level 3, yes.
our person who runs the Quincy Elks for the Elks is the Barrett Corporation, and they do weddings and everything. But right where the Quincy Elks is, this is what made me think of it. It abuts and binds up a whole line of high-rise buildings, and I've noticed going in and out at odd times when the warrant functions that there's people using it. So,
Yeah. But
okay.
again, I want to be very clear, though, it's a level 3,
No, it's all right.
okay, whereas these are level 2s. So when we were talking to the Quincy Elks about this, we had presented that all the condos around here, people are gonna be able to come in, charge real quick, and it's a great moneymaker for you.
I think they're using it.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it originally, but yesterday I was leaving there. Probably at 5 o'clock, and there was no function going on. There were
Right, so
2
how-
stations working. Okay,
How can we move this forward?
and I'm worried about Brookline. I'm right, I mean, if we can, go ahead.
I just want to think, I
John.
think the only, the exact, like you're saying, take a look at the lot, and I got no problem with that. If you think we could put one there, I get mixed up again. So we're talking 1 charging station, which is 2 spaces.
2 spaces, correct.
Okay, and you had proposed 2 there.
Yeah.
I think,
in-
not you,
in-
so whoever
yeah.
did it.
They
All
propose.
right, okay.
In our opinion,
Okay,
listen, my opinion is if we can put 2 dual port charging stations everywhere, I think it's gonna be beneficial for you. And maybe the best way to do that is when we leave today or tomorrow morning, walk through the courthouses, right, the parking lots, and just look to see what are electric vehicles. Now, the world we live in now, the only car that really looks electric is a Tesla. So you just have to look to see what cars don't have mufflers. And then you're gonna be really surprised as to how many electric vehicles are out there. I know I am.
okay.
Okay, I'm unmuted, right? Let me just weigh in on that. I'm very familiar with the report that your electrician provided with regard to utilization. Just keep in mind, we're in a couple scenarios here. We're in the if we build it, they will come. Number one. Number two, the annual growth rate, and this is a national average, is 10% per annum. So we don't want to get stuck necessarily too heavily in how many cars do we see today. What we want to do is we're embracing this transition to EV that is going to happen whether we put chargers in or not. This is the reality of what's happening. So I'm basing, my livelihood and recommendations are that, we're all participating in a transition. It's an evolution. So you have to look at it from that standpoint as much. And yes, there's always risk in anything that any of us do every day. But there's very, very solid evidence and reasons why the state of Massachusetts allocated $400 million of ratepayer money to build charging stations, some of which funds we're proposing you to use. That's my 50,000 foot sort of explanation as to not to get too in the weeds, but there's tremendous momentum to this transition to EV. That's my 2 cents.
Director Cronin.
The commissioners would like to direct me to work with Port Energy to come up with revised proposals that reflect the number of charges you want by location. I'd be happy to do that. I can also work with them to update their proposal for the performance-based pricing that Nick had revealed to us as well. So,
Yeah, that was.
as I mentioned, there are 31 planned charges right now across 8 locations. If you want that to be modified by location, just let me know.
I'm ready to go forward if we
Yeah.
double talk about Brookline and make sure that our lot has it. And then go from there.
Do you want me to get a recommendation from the facility manager or the electrician on what he would recommend per site?
Yes, I know Brookline's gonna be an issue compared to the others. It's like no other parking lot. You go down, I don't know if you've ever been over there, but they, during the day, they have to bring the prisoners into the court that way, and it's parked like a mishmash, and at night, when I first came here, we had complaints from the police, so I got overly involved because I was new, and I found out he was bitching because all his employees parked there once we're out of there. And, we have a very good relationship with the Brookline police, and we didn't want to rock the boat, but, not that some of them probably aren't driving electric vehicles, I don't know. Do police let me ask you this,
They're
the
coming.
public
They're
safety
coming.
vehicles going
They're
electric
starting now.
anywhere?
I think it's-
There,
yeah.
so the,
A cruise is gonna go electric eventually and all
yeah,
that?
so, yeah, again, I'm not
Can't.
truly in tune with the
Right, but I mean, is
the
it,
true requirement, but from what I understand, the requirement was 20%, and I think it got pushed off to 2030.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, 20% of the town
Fleet.
or city fleet vehicles had to be electric. But from what I understand,
Mhm.
it has been pushed back to 2030.
Is that all electric or hybrid?
I don't have that answer.
Okay, because Canton has some hybrids.
Yeah.
Quincy does too, not
Yeah.
cruises, but
Right.
they still got the big gas hogs, but they got, like the inspectors, the health inspectors, the building inspectors, they're driving little hybrids. I don't know where they're plugging them in. I noticed they're all Fords.
Oh, yeah. Chairman, I'll move that we authorize Director Cronin, right, to move forward on this proposal from Port Energy and to work with the key parties. Nick is in front of us, Mr. Valari, to work on the performance-based language. We want to tighten that up and to look at the sites, the actual numbers, to make sure we have the right numbers based on some input from you and maybe the maintenance department supervisor. And then to come back, what am I saying, in a couple of weeks? Do we need a vote again, or do we have to?
I'll take the vote. It just directs me to do this work.
Okay,
So
right. So I'll make that
With intentions of bringing this to
Second.
to move forward.
a
Yeah,
successful.
successful.
Okay.
Be great. Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll speak to all parties, including commissioners and so
Okay.
forth. Right. Should come
Great.
back.
Do you have a motion?
Okay, motion made and seconded to go to the next level on with Port Energy on installation of, what do we call these things?
EVs, electric vehicle charging.
Electrical vehicle charger.
Electrical vehicle charges on our property. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, hey, this was a good meeting, Nick, and
Okay.
we're always here every Wednesday, so
Thank
we
you.
won't hold this up.
I'm happy
More
to
than
stop
a-
by next Wednesday if you like.
Well, we'll see how quick.
That's
we
up
get
to
it done.
John. If he,
Yeah.
We'll try to move it as fast as possible.
Yeah, no, it was more of just coming in to say hello.
Before that money runs out, you know?
Exactly.
All right.
Gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for spending your time with me this afternoon. Any other questions you have that you can think of, feel free to email me. I think most of you guys have me on the email chain. Any other questions, please do so. Give me a call. We can do a phone call, virtual call, or I can pop in, okay?
Good, great.
Thank you very much.
All right.
thank you, Nick.
So say congratulations, or we say whatever, good luck, but
Thank you.
thank you, Nick. It's you and your company. Thank you. All
See you again, Nick. Okay.
right.
Okay, that concludes number 11 for today. Number 12, request for the civic rate
Yeah.
at our President's Golf Course for the Kevin J. Ryan Charity Tournament. In your package,
Mr. Chairman, just a point of order.
yes.
That concludes item number 10. Number 11, I just want to alert, there is no current procurement department openings or contracts. You will have something next week, though. Sorry,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman. Thank you.
I'm in a hurry here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I
That's
just wanted
number
to-
11. Number 12, request for the civic rate for the Kevin J. Ryan Charity Tournament. Looking at a letter from Kathleen Horn from Massachusetts General Hospital. Mass General Hospital pleased to be named the beneficiary of the Kevin J. Ryan Memorial Golf Tournament taking place June 20th.
Right, I move,
Funds raised, yeah, this is
This
a
from Kevin.
frequent flyer with us, a very successful tournament.
Wait, so Michael Brown, I think, sent a letter, I think.
Right, and there's a letter from Michael Brown.
Right. So I move, we give the charity golf tournament rate at President's Golf Course for an event to be held Friday, June 20, to the tournament committee of the Kevin J. Ryan Committee.
Second.
Okay, this is a Milton-based charity, okay, it's been with us since 1993. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Yes, moving on. Report from the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few items. Number one, haven't talked about ARPA in a while, but I'm planning to work with the commission, the chairman, Commissioner Shea, on developing a strategy for some funds that are coming back to the county from various communities. It's a little here, a little there, and it's assembling into a sum of money about a little over $100,000. And I want to have a conversation with the chairman about how he would like to direct the traffic on that. As you know, at the close of the obligation period in December, we had several communities enter what we call excess capacity grant applications to cover any money like this that would come in. In addition to several communities making use of that offer, the county did. So we also have some excess capacity grants. So we'll bring forward to you some proposals in the next several weeks. This is an exercise that, as I think I mentioned when we did Dover a month ago, you'll see more and more of this over the next 12 to 18 months as we close down the grant. So this is the first round of that. It has come to my attention, excuse me, that there are some complaints coming from the Registry of Deeds relative to outdoor smoking. I've spent the last several days doing some work analyzing the state law, the regulations, and this morning I spoke with the Dedham Board of Health about guidelines associated with how to properly assign smoking locations for, in this case, public buildings in Dedham. I will be bringing forward to the commissioners as early as next week a proposal to revise or update the county's outdoor smoking policy relative to its Dedham locations only at this time. So just wanted to address the complaints. We're working on a solution. It should be coming forth in the next week or so. Wanted to alert folks that Maureen McCune will be sending out a purchasing second, please. Year-end close memo. Nancy Rockwell in the past has sent it out, I believe, first week in June. Maureen is planning to do the same. It'll give guidance to departments on how to properly encumber, close, and otherwise address year-end spending needs. More on that next week. We'll remind people as it's coming out. So we have to start to envision closing fiscal year 25. Alert the commissioners that in a recent conversation with our architect on the Dedham Superior Court ventilation project, excuse me, we made a determination to pulse the release of that bid until after the end of the summer, sometime around Labor Day, for two reasons. Number one, there was a sense of urgency that one of the air handles that the engineers had programmed was going to be removed or sunset due to federal regulations. They were worried about the supply of that product not being available. So initially there was a rush to think that we might want to buy something now. The engineers have re-engineered the solution and now looking at a revised product that will be readily available at the back end of 2026. And so the bidding process for the bidders who are looking at the equipment that we're requesting have said, you know, it might be better if you move this out to the last quarter of calendar year 25, because the products will be more available and the pricing will be more favorable. We'll also have the opportunity to see what the bidding prices might look like in the event we need additional funding to cover any surge in tariff costs and so forth. So
Tariff costs, right?
Dedham Superior Court is going to be moved about 3 to 4 months out. Just wanted to alert you on that. Walton Recreational Facility is going to be going through an audit visit today by CBIZ as they look to conclude the FY24 audit. I understand they were scheduled to go to the Registry of Deeds on May 19th. I don't know if they've got there yet, but I'm looking for an update from our auditors as I'm curious to see if we can still achieve the close of this audit by the end of fiscal year 25. And I believe that is all I have at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions of the county executive?
The maybe a general question for you
Sure.
is that, you know, what's happening nationwide with the money that might be coming back. Is there any danger if we don't act on clawback?
No.
Okay.
We see no danger because effectively the money's been obligated. It's been dispersed. There's no
Okay.
money to return to the government.
Okay. That's thank you.
That was one of the main topics we discussed in December when we were going through that obligation cycle. So, yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Okay. Number 14, emergency items that Chair did not anticipate. I have none. Now's the time if you have anything, commissioners, and we're off to school board meeting this evening.
Good. I would move adjournment if you want, Mr. Chairman, at 2:30.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.